This is I Only Know Jesus Through My Maternal Side, The Piercing Girls as Mosaic 2. God knows my name through my auntie's altar, though she wouldn't call it that. She herself became the temple. Anywhere she sat became a prayer bench, a rest. Anywhere she broke bread, a communion, a repast, a reset. My first baptism, a kitchen sink in her daughter's house, with her and her sister presiding, laying hands to cleanse my scalp and spirit. It was there I learned that God expects you to get dirty and his people will cleanse you. And if the love is real, they will teach you how to get clean, how to turn this mess of a life into a masterpiece. You see, the women in my family have never been saints, though they be holy, holy human, born coal and life pressed into diamonds, pressed into being craftsmen, mothers, makers, equipped with nothing more than the power of tongue and the gift of mosaic, of taking the pieces you have left and making a new life of them over and over until we return to dust. This is the gift we pass to each other, the gift that enables the inner altar, the gift that allows God to know your name without wall, pew, or ceiling. I do not know of church. I'm not as deep in my good book as my mama would like, but I know a few words and I know how to praise. I know a woman made altar when I see one, and because she loved me, I know God knows my name.
Welcome back to another episode of the Brown Sugar Cafe podcast, the place where poetry meets conversation. I'm your host, Terrence P. Elmore. And before we get into today's topic, make sure you hit that plus sign so you don't miss an episode. Also, please subscribe to my blog, thebrownssugarcafe.blog. And if you find any value in this episode or any other episodes, make sure you leave a heartfelt review. So with that being said, let's get to it. Wow. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Asia May. I am Charleston's current sitting poet laureate. I am a filmmaker, a cultural worker, um, and a lover and advocate of the arts and of the deep south.
Yes, yes. Thank you for joining us again. That piece, that's actually one of my favorite pieces. So I'm glad you decided to read that. Where did the inspiration behind that come from? Because it's a lot of layers and I love the way you beautifully script it. It just takes me there and I can be in each scene in each moment. What was the inspiration behind that?
So I've that one's like uh a bit newer, but I've been doing it a lot more so that I can get through it without wavering. So I love that you've been following with that. My great aunt passed in January at the top of the year, and I've always had an obsession with my grandmother and her sisters and just their sisterhood in general. I have a very matriarchal family, and there's a lot of unseen labor that goes into taking care of our family, and so I write a lot to show who they are. And when my aunt passed, I was, of course, asked by the family, "Would you write a poem?" Because, again, when you do a thing in a black
Yeah.
family, it's like
It's your time
so they
now.
know
Yeah.
exactly. But I was really honored to write that poem for her. She was always one of the first people in my family who told me I was a poet. And she loved bragging on me. She loved telling people that her niece was a poet like Maya Angelou. So I was really honored to write that for her and just give praise to, again, those women that I love so dearly.
Beautiful. It's such a beautiful poem. Um, so how have you been since we last spoke? Well, I've seen you since you last on the show a couple of times,
Yeah.
but how have you been? I think the last time I saw you was at the laureate dinner.
Yeah, for Soda City Festival.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Um, yeah, I've been good. I've It's been chaotic in a really beautiful way. I feel like I've had a year of a lot of growth and transition. So I've had a lot of deep gratitude for who I was and who I've gotten to become, and all of the things that have shifted in my life for, you know, for what I feel like is the better.
Yes. So your time, you're deep into being a laureate now since the last time you were on. What has that experience been like so far?
Um, it's been beautiful. It's been really like heart opening, to just connect with so many people through poetry, through this title and this position, to be able to represent Charleston, has really been a blessing to me. I love the city so much, and being able to serve it in this way has been really a joy. Knowing the kids, like coming into my fourth year in poet laureacy, like I have kids who have graduated, and like I'm like, oh
Yeah.
God, I have kids who have graduated.
Yeah.
And like there are new babies coming in, and like, I am their poet laureate, like, throughout their high school career. And that's been just, it's been beautiful, honestly. Like I felt very weird about taking the position in the beginning, but it really has been a blessing of my life.
Community is something that's been important to you before taking the seat. So, how was, bridging the two? Was it easy for you to do that, or just trying to figure out your way?
Right. I think in hindsight, like it felt hard in the beginning because I was trying to, I feel like, separate the two, because my community was largely artistic. I was always around, the music communities, my book communities, my literature communities and whatnot, and poetry. So I wasn't in community as much, like, I guess, like politically or economically as
Mm,
much either. And I think I was trying to separate the two because I kind of felt like my art community was like my real world and this was like my work world. But when it comes to this position, I quickly learned that there's no separating the two. Like it's just expanding and engulfing the other. So I think I struggled a little bit, but my community is so strong and they're so solid. So they were, every step of the way in my ear, like, it don't have to be this hard. Like, and I'm known for being a little hard headed. I'm known for making things harder than they have to be for myself. But my people are, again, so solid. They've been around so long and they know how to help me navigate through that. So yeah, it hasn't been as bad as it could have been.
man, that's good to hear. I often talk about community and how community is very important, especially in the arts. Like if you're a painter, you're a writer, you're a poet, pretty much anything you do, you need community. You need people that you can reach out to. If you have a question, people you can reach out to. Um, for inspiration, and you need to be that voice for those people as well. I love how the poetry community is in Charleston. People are sharing things and everybody's willing to, um nobody gatekeeps. And I think that's something, I mean, when I think about it, poetry in general, I have not ran into anyone who gatekeeps. Like everybody's always trying to help somebody. Everybody's trying to
Yeah.
promote people. Everybody's trying to, I have this going on. Would you be a part of it?
I think that type of, or I'll say like spoken word is more open minded than like written poetry, or I've come to find uh
Yeah.
with poetry and community in that way. But I think that the written community is starting to be a little more embracing. And I think in Charleston's just a unique space when it comes to arts in general. Sometimes I think we're a little afraid of critique. Um, and so like I think people think that maybe that will disrupt the camaraderie that we have going on. But I also see that shifting. So I don't wanna put that on
Yeah.
them like
Yeah.
that. I see that mindset shifting. But I do remember a time feeling like that, feeling like, I don't want to rock the boat with craft and learning, but it's a lot better.
I know you get commission work as laureate, and I know you do your own pieces. Do you ever feel like when you get commission work that it may be, hard to not put too much of yourself into it? Or are you just like, hey, y'all asked me to do this, I'm gonna do it?
Yeah, I think at this point, as a poet, as an artist in general, I'm not creating work that I don't want to create. um I'm very much a working artist. I have a regular job. I won't say it's a 9 to 5. I have a regular gig, uh that handles majority of the bills, but I'm not in a space where I have to use my art for survival. And I think that allows me, there is a lot of privilege in that, and not having to take things just because there's a dollar attached to it.
Mm,
um, or not, going against my morals and working with people or spaces that don't align with my values. Like, I don't think I'm in a space where I have to do that anymore. And so I don't.
hey, I love that you said that because we're in a time now where it seems like people are more interested in money over their morals or their values.
And don't get me wrong, I do understand, like, we have to survive, and I never want anybody to feel, to shame themselves for what they did to survive. But I do think that there are certain things that, like, when it doesn't align with you, when you know that it's harming people, when you know that it's harming people,
Yeah.
you know there's no dollar amount that you can put on certain things to get me to move. uh but again, I understand that people have to survive. I just want people to be a little more cautious, and again, like, think about how you can sleep at night.
I was thinking about that same thing today about how people take advantage of people. And I'm just like, how do you sleep at night? Like when you have all these scammers and stuff and they're just doing things to people. It's just like, how do you sleep at night knowing that you've harmed somebody, financially, physically, mentally?
I'll never be able to understand it, quite honestly. But I also know that sometimes when people are desperate, people do very desperate things. And again,
Yeah.
in artistry, it happens a lot when we're trying to use that art to survive. We end up doing things that we aren't proud of. And I'm just really grateful to not have to do that, nor, like, have I really had to do that ever in my career. I think I've always been really okay with turning something down that didn't feel right,
Yeah.
like, no matter the account.
Hey.
I like sleeping.
Hey. You're also a filmmaker, and the last time that you were on, we didn't talk much about that. So,
Hmm.
how did you get started with filmmaking?
um well, I went to college for film. In high school, I had a teacher who, he was our chemistry teacher, but he would show us documentaries all the time.
Okay.
He was really big on, like, community service and things. And he started a community service club, and I had already been into, like, video production, like, through our school, like, television show. I'd been doing that since, like, 5th grade. I just always kind of had an interest in being behind the scenes, and making things. So when it came time for college, and I was like, I want to go to school for film, I want to make documentaries, and I got burned out really quick. But I had always continued watching film and studying film, being around people in film, so it never really left me. Um, and I want to say post pandemic, like 2021, someone reached out to me about helping with casting for an indie film that didn't end up getting picked up, but it kind of relit my fire
Yeah.
when Taekwon approached me about helping with High Water, Taekwon Morton. who wrote and directed High Water. I want to say it was 2023. I don't know. The years are losing me now. But when he approached me about it and I read the script, I was like, there's no way I can not. And it just ended up being something really, really magical.
So what are you working on now?
Um, Film wise,
Yeah.
I'm taking a break. We we filmed another short through indie grants last year. That core crew. Um, a short called Bateau, and it is in post production, so it should
Oh,
be
okay.
releasing sometime this year. I don't want to put that on people, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll be knee deep in premiering and letting that hit festivals. But right now, I think I'm just in a space where I want to um, watch more films and experience more, get deeper into our local film community and bring people together to watch more films. I revived my film club, the Saltwater Cinema Club, with the Halsey Contemporary Art Museum last year.
Yeah.
We showed two films, so we have two more coming up this year, and I'm always looking for other spaces in Charleston to collaborate with that want to let people watch movies together.
So let's talk more about the film club. Like what made you start that and what is it all about?
Honestly, the idea came up in like 2019, 2020. And again, I really enjoy watching movies, and I really enjoy watching movies with people and talking about them. But I realized I was watching a lot of movies online that people around me weren't watching. And I was like, okay, how do I get y'all to watch movies with me? And then the pandemic hit, and with that, it was like, okay, now I can't watch movies with people or like in person with people, but then drive-in movies were happening again. And
Yes.
people were having like online film festivals. And I was like, oh, like now I can watch movies with people everywhere. So I was like in film clubs on Discord and in film like conversations on Substack. And I was really just like, I love this, but I want to be in person with people. And a friend of mine named Stephanie Watts has a film club in Philadelphia called the Be Real Black Cinema Club. And I was like, how do you do this? Like, how do you get people to come out? And she's like, you just start the thing. Maybe one person shows up, maybe it's five, but you just do the thing. So I was like, okay, I'll just do the thing. And I made a logo. I started posting stuff online. It kind of fell flat with the online things, but I was able to be in person with like little pop ups,
Yeah.
in tandem with my like book pop up, the Fruit Library, and just have film conversations with people. And I've been able to like have movie nights at the library and just little spaces curated to let people watch movies and have conversations with each other. So it's been really fun and keeping me outside and in movies.
Yeah. I love that. I'm trying to think the last time I participated in something like that, there was a James Baldwin Centennial and it was a 2 day event and we looked at a
At
documentary.
the Saloma Acres.
It was by them because
Yeah.
Curtis Caesar John, he's the one who approached me to find some poets, and it was at the One House in
Okay,
Columbia.
yeah. I remember hearing about it and seeing it on social media and being so sad because I had what was booked that weekend, so I couldn't drive up. It looks so good.
It was because what was really dope about it, it was a 2 day event, and we watched the documentary. I cannot remember the name of that documentary, but it was one that Harvard had, and not many people had seen it. And it was a really good documentary. And of course, there was a discussion afterwards, but I like those type of settings where you can watch
Yeah.
stuff and have a discussion afterwards. Of course, with documentaries, but yeah, when you were talking about the film club, I'm like, why am I not a part of something like that? Because I love film. Like I have
Yeah.
another podcast where we talk about film and television shows. So why am I not
You need
part
a
of that?
film club.
I need a film club. Uh, speaking of films, I just saw one recently. And I love black romance films, like the smaller films, things that don't come out on, at the cinema. And I saw one recently, Love Brooklyn. It's really good.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really enjoyed that.
That's one of those that Be Real Black Cinema Club actually put me onto. So
I was just flipping through and I saw the trailer for it and I was like, man, this, I'm gonna watch this because I like stuff like that. And I love how, and I might be biased, but I love how he was a writer and, you know,
they knew how to there are certain, I feel like there are certain careers that work in romances.
yeah,
Like, yeah. Men writers, they know how to lay that out.
yeah, yeah. And I like how, stuff like that really intrigues me because they didn't give us it all at first. We had to kind of try to figure out, okay, who's this person and who's that person to him? What's going on here? And then they slowly just gave us little hints and little hints. And then, when everything reached the climax, we kind of got what was going on. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hadn't seen it, but it was a very good movie.
Yeah, I think it's I feel like I watch a lot of like indie films because the indie world is really taking chances when it
Yes,
comes to like experimentation in film, whether it be visually or with the dialogue or like with the linearness of the storytelling. Like it's a lot more exciting to me than
me
like
too.
a
Yeah.
lot of what we're seeing in the mainstream. And that's why I'm such a big advocate for indie films, and especially like people who make films and just like upload them onto like YouTube or Tubi or Amazon, like those types of indie filmmakers. I'm obsessed because like those are the ones who are like, yeah, we crowdfunded for this this idea and it is as wacky as we could make it. We really took the chance to see what it could look like.
Like The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Yes.
That
Like,
brilliant movie. The first time that I ever knew about Jonathan Majors, and I'm not sure if it's his first film, but it was an earlier film. And that part where he did the one man play was just
and again, this also goes to giving theater money because all of those great actors come from the theater.
that's true. That's true. That's and I've noticed like when I find that out about an actor, like when I found out that David Allen Greer was into theater, now I started paying attention to his acting and his comedy because I saw where he drew characters from and how he presented stuff, and that's because I love plays as well. Like one of my favorite plays is A Raisin in the Sun and also A Soldier Story.
Okay.
So
I'm a theater kid. Like I grew up in theater and still dibble dabble, but for the most part, it's like I
yeah,
love the screenwriting of it all.
me too, me too. Man,
But those, yeah, you can tell the difference when people are theater trained versus being like, you know, like trained for the screen, I guess. Like
yeah,
it's more body, it's more movement, like you're more aware, you're able to do more with your face, with your accent, like you understand the embodying of somebody because you have to project that embodying to, a crowd of people who may be in the top or the back. Like, they have to be able to understand what's going on just by looking at you.
that's
And
it.
with
Yeah,
film, we tell everything. We get all the angles and all the Easter eggs, and we put that all in there for you to see. It's not a lot left up to interpretation unless you know what you're doing.
yeah. I think that's another thing that makes spoken word so exciting to me and also intimidating because it's you have some people that they really make you feel like they're on a stage, like a
Yeah,
one man stage, one woman stage. Just
but I do think that there are different types of spoken word, And that is what makes it so beautiful. Like there are some people who I love because of how theatrical they are and how they can, transform a stage with just their words and their body. But then there are some other people, like it's like they my friend Daniel is a very good example of it. He is like so soft spoken, and he will get up and read a poem that will tear you to shreds.
Yeah.
It's so tender, it's so soft, it hits all of the heart, and you're just sobbing by the end of it. And he hasn't even raised his voice,
Yeah. Yeah. I like
and
that
it's like
too.
I love those spectrums of people because you don't know what you're gonna get.
And I love whenever I find out that somebody has that in them that I didn't expect, because you have somebody, because I've seen people who are very outgoing, life of the party, life of the environment, but when they read, it's just one tone. And then you have somebody who's quiet, doesn't really say much, and then when they read, it's like a whole nother person.
Exactly.
And I'm just like, wow.
And I love it. Like again, it's poetry is constantly surprising me and finding ways. Like I feel like I've said it in like other interviews before that like I used to run from poetry. Like poetry was not the thing that I thought was going to be guiding my life, but every time I try to dump it, every time there's something, it pulls me back. I'm somewhere and somebody does a piece, or I'm watching something and somebody's reciting something, and I'm like, ugh, now I want to go write.
Yes. I asked you this the last time you were on. Are there any plans to release a book?
Mm. I have been wrestling with that for quite some time. Because I love my pieces existing in like by themselves. I always say that I'm a lot better experienced than read.
Mm,
And so it's hard for me to figure out how it's supposed to be on a page. But I recently had like a series of dreams where it was pretty apparent that I have a book somewhere in the ethers. So I can no longer say that I don't
yeah.
have plans for a book. I have concepts of a plan for a book.
Okay. 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 Good. 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 Uh, uh,
So like yeah, I can say that.
yeah. Hey, last time it was like, I don't think so, and now it's like, well, I had these dreams, so
Yeah, it's been a very transformative time since we spoke.
when it comes to the Southern Black experience, how do you find your voice when writing about the things that we endure, or the things that you've seen, or the things that you've experienced yourself?
Mm, I feel like I don't necessarily, I haven't necessarily found a voice with that as much as like I've recognized that that is my voice.
Mm,
Um, I feel like when I was younger, being from the South, it had its like negative connotations.
yes.
And I fed into that a little bit as far as like, I would get really offended when people would talk about how, you're from the South and y'all talk slow and everything's slow. And like, people would question my intelligence because of that. But then you grow up and you realize those people are ignorant in their ways as
Very.
well.
Yeah.
um and the older that I got and the longer that I stayed here, I would really say like after college, moving back to Columbia for a little bit, I really started to appreciate where I came from. And like I spent more time with my grandparents and my aunts and cousins by proxy because I was home a lot more. And I just began to appreciate so much more of like everything that made up who I was. And it made writing a lot easier because I was writing a lot from my experience and writing to people that I loved and that I cared about, and to places and things that I loved and I cared about. So it wasn't as hard to figure out what to say as much as it was like, okay, how can I say this so that y'all really understand what how I feel about this? You see these people, these places, these things, and all its splendor and glory the way that I do. Like, how can I craft that? And then I remember, girl, language is vast. And you have access to so much of it. And that was exciting for me. So I think, yeah, when it comes to finding that voice is just remembering. I often say I write like how I talk. So,
Hey.
you know, is who I am. I can write pretty. I can write in proper English if that's necessary, but these aren't the voices that I'm trying to talk about. The people that I'm talking about and to, they talk how I talk.
Hey. I usually ask people this question, and I know I asked you this the last time. What's one thing about you that many people may not know, if anything, that you wish more people knew?
So it's interesting because I feel like I remembered that question last time. And I remember that question because I was like, if I say my real answer, and I believe I told you like I wanted people to know that like I'm not so serious.
Yes.
But actually my real question is I don't want people to know things about me. Like I do not. I am a very private person. And I think that because I'm so candid online and I'm so vulnerable in my poetry, people often assume that like this like parasocialness with me,
Yeah.
where they feel like, oh, I just know you so deep. And I'd be like, no, you know of me. I know of you. And I want people to understand that. Like we do not know each other like that. We do not know each other. We can get to know each other. I would love that. I would love to get to know you. But we do not know each other like that. And I do not be liking a lot of questions.
Hey, that's perfectly fine. I am the same way. It's a difference between holding a conversation with somebody instead of just firing off a bunch of questions back to back.
Exactly. And again, I like interviews and podcasts because I like those questions in
Right.
that setting, you know? It's like we have our things. We just have to learn them about each other.
Yeah. This is one of my pet peeves. Because when I'm getting asked a bunch of questions, like, so are you writing a book or something? I mean,
Exactly. Like, are you researching?
yeah. Like, this is supposed to be casual. We're just having fun. Because there's a difference between, you can feel the difference between somebody just asking stuff back to back to back and somebody's actually interested in what you're saying.
Right. It's like, are you intrigued or are you probing?
Right.
You know? Very different things.
Very. So I feel you on that one. That's a very good answer. You're probably the first person that ever said that. I'm pretty sure other people were thinking it, but you're the first person
I
that
give
said that.
everyone permission. Please tell these people, set your boundaries.
These next set of questions are kind of fun questions. What's the last thing that made you laugh?
Oh, it was some Love Island drama. It was somebody's thread on a Love Island piece of Love Island drama,
Okay,
and I was
okay.
like, that these are people who intricately watch reality TV, and I love it.
Next question. If you were to have a superpower, what would it be?
Hmm. Teleportation. I hate driving. I really do.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. Do you eat ice cream?
I love ice cream.
You love ice cream? Okay. If you could only eat one type of ice cream for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh wow, that's actually rude. That is very rude. Okay, can I combine an ice cream?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, because it's my ye old fashioned order.
No fashion.
So I would do jolted cow with rum cherry.
It's good.
It
That's
gets like a
good.
cherry, like a chocolate covered cherry type of taste. I think I could do that for the rest of my life in Beach Kill. I'd be okay.
I'm gonna have to try that.
I'm
I've
telling
never
you,
had the two together, but I'm gonna have to try that.
it's decadent.
Wow. That sounds like sounds like a good time.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. Next question. If you were to win $1 million today, what would be the first thing you would do?
Okay, is this like a lottery win or like a nobody has to know my business? They're not going to like announce my name win.
Nobody knows your business. They're not gonna announce your name.
Oh, I'm calling my mom, my husband, my best friends. We're all meeting at a secret location. We're figuring out where to buy land immediately.
That's good. That's good. And I like how you asked that too. Is this everybody knows or just
Because like the lottery has different stipulations which I have
yes?
thought through. Because if you don't disclose your information, they like take some of your money. So I'm going to let them say my name, but I'm also going to take that 14 days and we're getting on a plane somewhere talking about what we're doing with the money, then we're coming back.
Okay, okay, hey, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I believe me, I'm
Yeah.
prepared for when money comes. I am prepared.
So this question was specifically for you then, okay?
Mhm. Mhm. And now that the universe has heard me, you know I'm prepared.
Okay, so last question. What's one thing you would tell your younger self?
One thing that I would tell my younger self. I don't know, cuz I really don't want them to like change anything. Like I think that everything that I've done
Yeah.
has led me to where I am right now, and I'm grateful for where I am right now. I might no, because I was gonna tell her to do something with her refund check, but we did exactly what we were supposed to do with that check. We did exactly. We had a ball with that refund check. Uh, I I would tell her to start recording earlier.
Mm,
I would definitely start recording the things earlier. I feel like I was very blessed. My grandfather passed away last year, and I have lots of recordings of him and his voice. But there was a time in like college when I moved back home to finish up school, and my grandfather was taking me to school every day. And we had a lot of conversations that
yeah.
I wish I had recorded then. Yeah, so if I could talk to my
Yeah.
younger self, I would be like, just start recording everything again. Because college had burned me out from like being the girl with the camcorder all the time. Um, and I think I would have told her like pick it back up sooner, record those.
That's a good one. I needed to hear that. Yeah, that's a good one. Wow.
Self documentation, man, because who else is gonna remember you were here?
Yeah, that's true. And man, yeah, I need to get on that because there's some conversations that I want to have with the elders that are still around while they're around. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We lose an elder, we lose a library. So
so true.
we
So
gotta
true.
record what we can. And I'm grateful for what I do have, but it's definitely been a mission. And shout out to Build Your Archives, Sierra Chastity. She has been grilling into my noggin since 2019 about documenting every day. So that has really been my heavy catalyst.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for that. And before I let you get out of here, let the people know how they can contact you, how they can follow you, support you, any information you want to share.
Well, you can find me on the interwebs at Asia May. That is ASIAHMAE. That is also my website, asiamay.com. So if you like to book me, I do zine workshops. I do poetry events. I do poetry workshops. There are a lot of ways for you to see me in person. And again, I am better experienced than read, so feel free. I also want to say I'm really proud of South Carolina artists right now. I'm seeing so many things popping up and moving, and I'm really, really grateful that we are cultivating this space. Work together more, collaborate more. You will
Yes.
enjoy yourself so much better. You won't burn yourself out. You won't stress out, and everybody gets their piece of the pie. Collaborate with each other.
Mm. Thank you so much for joining me and everybody. The information will be in the show description. Thank you again. And to my listeners, as always, remember, keep pushing forward. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Brown Sugar Cafe podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Terrence B. Elmore, and this is the place where poetry meets conversation. Hit that follow button and turn on your notifications so you won't miss an episode. Check out my blog, thebrownsugarcafe.blog. Also connect with me on Instagram at thebrownsugarcafe. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and as always, remember, keep pushing forward.